Good day, everyone. Welcome to our 4-part new diagnosis workshop series. Today, for our third talk, we have neuro-physiotherapist Michelle McCarthy joining us to speak on exercise and how to live well with Parkinson's. Before I introduce Michelle and pass it over to her, I'd like to go through a few housekeeping items. First, I do want to let you know that we are recording this webinar and it will be available on our website along with the presentation slides. Secondly, you will see a chat icon at the bottom of your screen. If you click on that, the chat box will open up. Feel free to use this chat box during the webinar to make any comments or questions on today's presentation topic. And finally, to optimize your experience with this webinar, please ensure that you adjust your speaker volume, both on your computer as well as on your actual speaker, so that you can hear the webinar well. And if you are experiencing audio issues, please ensure that you haven't pressed your mute button on your keyboard. I'd now like to welcome Michelle McCarthy from the Movement Disorders Clinic at the UBC Centre for Brain Health. Michelle McCarthy graduated from the University of Southampton, UK in 1997 with a Bachelor of Science Honours in Physiotherapy. She began her career in 2 large teaching hospitals in London, UK, and after a couple of years specialized in the area of neurological physiotherapy. Michelle has continued to work with clients with neurological conditions across the continuum of care, including Parkinson's disease. Since moving to Canada in 2007, Michelle worked in acute care in neurosciences. Currently, as an integral member of the Pacific Parkinson's Research Center Movement Disorders Clinic team at UBC, she helps Parkinson's patients manage the physical challenges of Parkinson's from early diagnosis onwards. Throughout her career, Michelle has taken on leadership and educator roles and strives to develop new initiatives to provide the best possible care for clients, empowering them to effectively manage their condition. Michelle, thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome. I will pass it over to you now.
That's great. Thank you so much, Alana. Thank you for having me. And good afternoon for everyone. I think we have hit the afternoon now. So before I start, I would just like to acknowledge that I'm speaking from the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and for that I am truly grateful. So today I'm going to be speaking to you about exercise. And just going through a little bit about why we should exercise and how we can go about it. So first of all, it's just really important to understand that exercise is as important as taking your medications. If you are on medication for Parkinson's, the research has shown that exercise is really, really valuable in helping to manage your symptoms and condition. So when we're looking at exercise, we're looking at why we're going to do it, when we might want to exercise, what type of exercise we're going to try and include in our routine, how we might go about that, and where we might think about exercising. And for this, it's quite individual. So hopefully, this presentation will help you just to ask yourself some questions and individualize it for yourself. So I think we all know in everyday life, generally, that exercise is important. It's important for us, for our health and our physical well-being, our mental well-being. So exercise has definitely been shown to improve our physical fitness, our strength and endurance. It can help to improve functional tasks, such as things like improving your walking speed, your ability to go up and down stairs. It can help improve postural stability, as well as balance and coordination, helping to reduce stiffness and tightness, increasing that range that you have within your joints and muscles, and increasing your flexibility. And it can also help to manage and reduce fatigue. We certainly know that when we're not active, our body can become deconditioned, and that can lead to an increase in fatigue. So exercise can also help to, help to reduce the risk of falls. It can help improve mood. It can promote bone health with weight-bearing exercise, can assist in bladder and bowel management, can definitely influence brain plasticity, and research has also shown for it to have a neuroprotective effect and that it may slow disease progression. Okay, so when are we going to do it? We're going to think about starting now. Now, ideally, we shouldn't be sitting at a screen. We should be up and we'll be moving around. If we had the opportunity to be in person, it'd probably get you doing a little bit of a movement break and sort of managing that. So have a think now about just sort of wherever you are, taking a seat, sitting up nice and tall, taking a couple of breaths, maybe kind of giving a bit of a stretch up, sort of opening out there. So with regards to the amount of exercise and sort of physical activity that we should be engaging in, there are some Canadian physical activity guidelines. And so they separate these out in ages between 18 and 64 years and then 65 and above. And so for this, it's really looking at being active for at least 150 minutes of moderate to kind of vigorous intensity or high intensity aerobic activity each week. And this can be done in sort of bouts of 10 minutes or more. So it doesn't mean you have to do it all in one go. But we also want to add in sort of strengthening exercises as well, at least a couple of days a week. So for the older or sort of, sorry, as well as sort of talking about physical activity, they then extrapolated that information to really think about the 24-hour period. So it's really important that we don't think about exercise and do that in sort of for half an hour in the day and then sit down for the rest of the day and not do anything, not move our bodies. So it's really trying to limit that sedentary behavior. So sort of no more than sort of 2 to 3 hours of recreational screen time. And if you're needing to sit down maybe for work or sort of just during the day, that you're breaking it up. You're not sort of sitting for hours on end, that you're actually getting up, moving your body sort of regularly throughout the day. So then when they're making recommendations for people 65 years and older, it's very similar to those under 65. The same consideration of 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous or high intensity aerobic activity each week, and then sort of muscle strengthening activities, but also taking into consideration some balance activities, balance exercise as well, to really look to help prevent falls occurring. And again, taking this a little bit further than just that 150 hours and looking at the 24-hour period, in making sure that you're limiting sedentary time, limiting screen time, and with both sort of age groups, really looking at making sure you're getting some good quality sleep as well. I know that can be challenging for some people, so it's certainly important to discuss with your doctor to look at ways of sort of maximizing your sleep and rest so that you wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and able to have the energy to move on with the day. So Parkinson's Canada has this great resource. So looking at sort of physical activity. So again, sort of looking at why you would want to do certain activities, and then really helping you to kind of chart your progress. So making a plan as to sort of what you're going to do, making some goals, thinking about what you're going to do, and then having a little bit of a chart to keep track of it. The Parkinson Society of BC have a fantastic resource that Shelley, their neuro-physiotherapist, put together. So this is available in sort of hard copy paper format and also the PDF version. And it really gives some great information around exercise, why it's important, sort of how to get started, and then also includes some exercises. So it includes warm-up exercises, a range of exercises to do, progressing on from the warm-up, and then some cool-down stretching exercises as well. It also helps you sort of to track your progress, to think about making goals as to what you might want to work on, what you might want to achieve, and sort of a little bit of a calendar to, again, sort of give you one way to track that. So many people will come to me, they get referred to me maybe from the doctors, or maybe they want to come and see me themselves to really think about exercise. And I find, with the guidelines, there a lot of people are very aware of aerobic training, strength training, may already be doing sort of lots of exercise or some exercise around that. But sometimes we forget about the other aspects. So I like to look at this as kind of balancing out sort of the sort of difference between the aerobic, the strength, incorporating some balance, some flexibility, but also posture and core. And I find that's an area that's really important to try and get into your program early. We know that over time that Parkinson's can influence your posture, that can influence the body to move sort of into a more sort of forward position. And so we want to do everything we can to work on those postural muscles, to work on those stability muscles, to give you that background foundation and strength, to then be able to access and move your arms and legs a lot more easily. And I always use the analogy of a house. So we don't sort of put the walls up and put the roof on a house without making sure that we've got a really strong foundation. Otherwise, those walls and the roof are going to, eventually over time, probably, sort of waver and maybe collapse a little bit. That with our bodies, our core is really that central stabilizing factor. That gives us that stability and then that ability to freely move our arms and legs and kind of help build that endurance in our body. So when we're thinking about options for exercise, there are so many things out there, and I think sometimes that can be quite overwhelming. Maybe sort of when you just get diagnosed, you're told that you have to, or you're encouraged to kind of exercise. You may do a little bit of an internet search around different things. You may have friends or family telling you about things that you should get involved in or may want to do. So there are lots of things that are Parkinson's specific, and then other things that are very sort of important for everyone, and sort of all of us as with yourself or your partners, your friends that you may want to participate in. So for some of the Parkinson specific, we have some information here. So we have the Parkinson's Wellness Recovery, which is led by Dr. Becky Farley, and they're based down in Arizona, and they have a gym down there, and it's really the focus on this is sort of 4 key movements in different positions, and really focusing on full body movement, nice big movements. PD Warrior is something that's based from Australia, and again is really focusing on big movements, force of movement, sort of, really that sort of effort and force that you put into your activity and movement there. We have Rock Steady Boxing. You may sort of find classes in your local communities for boxing, as well as dance. So there are instructors that are trained in dance for Parkinson's. But we can also think about other activities such as walking, getting outside, being in nature. Really important for our mental health as well, to be sort of out in that fresh air if we can. You may want to think about yoga, Tai Chi, swimming or aquafit. And down in the corner there is something that I'm hearing a lot from people, sort of probably over the last year, is pickleball. So I hadn't really heard of pickleball, a while ago, and I think it's really becoming popular now. And I am aware from some clients from clinic that I think it's on Vancouver Island that they actually have pickleball classes specific for clients with Parkinson's. So it's really looking out in your community and seeing what's available, what interests you. And that's sort of a really important factor to be choosing something that you would like to participate in and that you enjoy. So when we're thinking about exercise and considering what we should be doing, we want to think about sort of, are you already exercising but need to consider a different type of exercise? So maybe your focus has been on using weights and doing strength training. You haven't thought about your flexibility or your posture so much, or maybe you've been really focused on aerobic. Maybe you're out cycling or walking, but haven't considered balance or flexibility. So it's sort of thinking about that circle and ways that you can bring in other aspects of exercise. On the other hand, you may be completely new to exercise, so you may not be doing anything, and then you've been told that exercise is really important for managing symptoms and sort of managing the condition more long term. And so you want to start somewhere. You want to start with something. Or you may have other health conditions that you may need to consider. So that may be things such as joint conditions, you may have previous injuries, you may have arthritis, you may have heart or lung conditions that you need to pay attention to. So you can complete something called the PARQ Plus, which is a physical activity readiness questionnaire. And I will bring up a slide with that on. And this just helps to identify if you've got any particular other conditions or anything that you should be aware of that you may want to then talk with your doctor about before initiating exercise if you haven't been exercising before. Some classes may ask you to complete or may ask the doctor to complete an ePARMEDX Plus form, which is just giving medical clearance to be able to participate. So for instance, if you do have a heart condition and the doctor's happy for you to exercise, but they may want you to keep your heart rate within a certain range, then that's something that can be communicated and documented, and sort of the instructor of the class can just be aware of that. When you're exercising, we also want to think about sort of frequency, the intensity of the exercise, the time of day you may exercise, and type. So for frequency, this is quite individual. So again, whether you're fully fledged in exercise, whether you're new, ultimately it's good to be active every day. We don't want to go all out in one day doing our maximum that we can and then sit down for the next 3 or 4 days and not really do anything. That can happen if you do feel fatigued at times and kind of go all out when you feel good, and then sometimes you can overexert yourself and then you have to kind of take a break. So it's good to try and get that consistency sort of day by day and being active every day. When we're thinking about intensity, the research has definitely shown that higher intensity exercise is beneficial, but we also have to be mindful of sort of individual abilities. So what high intensity may look to someone may be different to someone else. So it may be if you are on a medication regime that you want to time it when your body is feeling sort of at its best, when it's got good energy. If you're working, you may find that it's trying to fit things in with work and family time. And that's where for some people, they may be able to do 30 minutes, 45 minutes of exercise. And for other people, it may be that you're fitting it in during your work day. During your work day, and having to do it in 10 or 15-minute sections there. And the type of exercise we've talked about kind of that range. So you really want to try and pace yourself, again, trying to avoid that overexertion. And if you're new to exercise, definitely kind of building out gradually. So you don't want to go from doing nothing to exercising every day for sort of half an hour, an hour. And you'll find that sort of your body might get tired or might have some aches and pains that sort of giving you some feedback that you need to kind of pace it out a little bit more. So for some people, they may sort of exercise and have rest days in between, or other people may do less on each day and have that consistency across each day. But it's really trying to find ways to be consistent in that activity.
Michelle, did you want to take a 2-minute break just to sort of get your breath and water? Or
I'm okay, thank you. I'm sorry. As I say, water's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, we could totally do that if you wanted, though.
No, I'm good, but thank you. The exercise as well should be challenging. So you should feel that it's a bit of an effort. It should challenge you both physically and cognitively. And so you don't want to take it to the point where you're putting yourself in any danger, that you're making yourself multitask to a certain degree that you can't sort of focus, but definitely add in some of those cognitive challenges in to sort of physical exercise can really help to increase that sort of brain activity and that combination there. Okay, so this is the PARQ Plus questionnaire, just the first page of it. So this is something that you can just fill out yourself, just to see if you have any other conditions. And then if you do, it may be something that you just want to talk to your doctor about if you're not sort of previously exercised and are used to that. But you don't necessarily have to do this. As I say, some exercise classes have in the past asked for these, but not essential. So thinking about community resources for exercise, there are lots of things available. I think the one thing that the pandemic has sort of brought to us over the last few years is a lot of online resources, which we'll come to. The Parkinson Society of British Columbia did a fantastic job over the course of the pandemic with their virtual exercise classes with Shelley, as well as other classes with other providers such as boxing and drumming. I have clients that use that and really enjoy those. So it's really good to look at those resources, see what perhaps sort of real-time classes are available and sign up for those. And then also look at the recorded classes. So the video options are available, so then you can do it in your own time and really fit it into your schedule if you're not able to meet the schedule of the class that's available at the time there. They also have resources linking out to communities, so you can choose your location in your community and see what classes may be available. But you can also reach out to your local community centres and see what classes are sort of coming back. I think definitely sort of over the last 6 months or year, I would say that there are a lot more classes coming back in person. Which is fantastic. There's also the BC Brain Wellness Program. So this is a program that has stemmed from one of our neurologists out of the centre here. It's a program that's free and offers a range of activities, including exercise. And again, they've done online in real-time classes, but also videos. But they'll also have lots of other activities, lots of other classes as well. They include yoga, sort of mindfulness. They've got sort of singing and art. So lots of different programs available there. We've got some private partners here. So within Vancouver and now on the island, NeuroFit BC has 2 locations, and they will run classes specific to clients with Parkinson's disease. Impact Parkinson's pre-pandemic had a location in person, but has now had to move to everything online. They're providing activities such as boxing. On the island in Victoria, we have the Parkinson's Wellness Project that again has lots of resources and classes available. You may also want to connect with a physio. And if you wanted to find a physio within your local area, you can link on to the bcphysio.org website and click find a physio. And then in the area of practice, you can place neurology, and that will bring up the neurophysios within the area there. I'm just going to have a little bit more water in one moment. Okay. So as we've already mentioned, there are community centre programs, and again, a lot more coming back. Obviously, some areas of the province may have more limited availability than others. But if you have the option to sort of have the choice between sort of 2 or 3, then it's really to look around and see what you might be able to travel to if it's not too far for you to go. Choose to Move is a free 6-month program for anyone aged 65 and older. And they now do have some in-person sessions, and it's really kind of a coaching session to kind of help you just get started with activity, get into a program, and look at your goals and ways to kind of motivate and keep that motivation going. You can also link through to HealthLink BC through 811, and you can be connected with a qualified exercise professional, maybe a kinesiologist, a trainer, to give you advice there. Again, the Parkinson's Society of BC has their virtual physio resources available for anyone that does have very limited access to physiotherapy within their local community. So that is also another option. So thinking about sort of living well with Parkinson's generally, I do like this quote in that life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And I think that is definitely something that is really important, and something that when I first meet people in clinic is something I really try and encourage. And I think it's building routines that you can be consistent in, that's going to keep you moving over sort of the long term. And that can be hard. It can be hard to stay motivated. And that's where you really need to be true to yourself to identify what you like to do. So are you a person that will go to a class? Do you prefer to do something yourself at home? Do you like to go to the gym? Do you like to dance? Do you like to play a sport? It's really kind of being true to that preference and building that into a consistent sort of routine during your week. And then also having that flexibility to kind of change it up, to, you know, have days where you may miss things, but sort of have some backup plans to kind of work through that. So we also want to encourage you to connect with others. So looking at ways to kind of build those connections, whether that's through support groups, whether it's through your exercise classes, whether it's through friends, family. You definitely want to be thinking about sort of the healthy lifestyle modifications, making sure you've got a good, healthy, balanced diet, sort of, again, being active, wanting to be kind to yourself. So, you know, as well as that activity, it's balancing it, it's having that sort of ability to then relax, sort of be mindful of sort of where your body is, and And even things like breathing techniques, being able to slow down and stretch and take those moments there as well. It's really important to think about building a care team. And I know next week you'll meet other members of the team. They'll be speaking. I think our social worker, our occupational therapist, and speech therapist. And also to stay informed. So, to try not to be overwhelmed with lots of information, but also, there are lots of resources out there. So to make the most of them, to really build your knowledge and get that information that you can. So again, the importance of having a team around you, and what can that team look like? It can be very different for different people. So with you at the center, you can have your medical professionals, you can have your friends and family, your care partners, support groups, and the societies such as the Parkinson Society of BC, other societies out in other countries as well will also give information. So, you may have certain challenges with different symptoms affecting your body in certain ways. And so it's really identifying what that may be and then trying to connect with the right person to help you manage those symptoms and really work on strategies to maximize your function and maximize your ability there, and really be proactive in your activities to really, again, build that really good program to help manage your symptoms over the longer term. So actually going through this quite quickly. So it's really just really understanding that the Parkinson's disease, it progresses slowly. Exercise is really important, as well as medications, if you are on medications to control symptoms. It's making sure that you're not going through it alone. So reaching out for support as you need to, and really focusing on living the best life you can. So, I get inspired every day by seeing clients in clinic and hearing everything that they're doing, and yeah, it's pretty amazing with goals that people will set themselves and activities that they'll participate in, and yeah, just being out there and living the best life. And then also understanding that there are advanced therapies. I'm sure the doctors have talked about those as well. And research is ongoing. So I think for me as a physio, research has definitely identified the importance and benefit of exercise. So it's getting into that early, trying to be consistent with it, and then if you need guidance in any way, is reaching out to the right person, be that a physio or a personal trainer or kinesiologist, to get that support and helping you maintain and be consistent with an exercise program as much as you can. And so lastly, we don't want to believe everything we read on the internet. I do have people over time that will come in and they may have found a certain piece of equipment online, or someone doing some activity, and it's really important to look for good information, reliable sources of information, and if you have any questions, to reach out to someone who you trust to answer those questions for you.